Is America on the right track? 50% of Americans say yes. That never happens. I mean, it literally never happens when they ask that question. Pollsters, right? Partly because, well, things have been going crummy for a long time. But even the nature of the poll, right? You know, you kind of feel like you're supposed to say something. You're not supposed to agree with that, but this is amazing. 50% say yes, on the right track. And of course, it's because of President Trump and what he is doing. And it's pretty incredible. 50% plus one, plus, I don't know if this makes a percent, but you can definitely include me in that, all right? I didn't get a call from the pollster. And that's probably a good thing. I would not probably have cooperated, but this is a huge number. And it shows that President Trump is off to an amazing start. How about this Memorial Day weekend? It was special, right? Didn't it seem to last extra long in a good way? There were beautiful events around the country commemorating those lost, and of course celebrations and get-togethers, and all of it was great. I just felt like I did some traveling this weekend, and there was a good mood out there, at least in my travels. President Trump was at West Point and also at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, which is customary. Let's watch for a moment. Well, a solemn moment and a beautiful moment. So Memorial Day weekend, did we remember those who served? I hope so. I really think there was a lot of that in the air. And I heard something amazing once from a guy named Sebastian Junger. He wrote a lot of books about Afghanistan and other places. And one of the things he noticed, because he talked to veterans after they got back, strangely enough, sometimes they felt more secure in the war zone. I was fascinated when I heard this, but if you show Afghanistan and the troops over there, what do they have? Well, they have each other, and they also have security. Now, sometimes security could be breached, but Younger described how when the soldiers and Marines and sailors went to sleep, they knew they were being looked out for, right? Because there was always security. 10% of the guys would stay up, and you'd have shifts. You don't have that back home, right? You just don't have that. But with the Memorial Day celebrations, there really was a beautiful sense of community across the country. I went to an amazing event in South Florida, actually Palm Beach, and there was an acknowledgement of those we lost, and it was attended by some true American heroes. Have you ever heard of any of these fellows? One was General Jim Jones on the left. This guy's incredible. He was the Commandant of the Marine Corps, later became, I believe, the Supreme Allied Commander, and then National Security Advisor to the President. The man in the middle there, if we take it full again, that is General Pete Dawkins. Are you familiar with him? An incredible career, but I mean, what he did in college. He was the #1 graduate from West Point, academically, I think, and in leadership. He got a Rhodes Scholarship, and he was the best football player in the country. Heisman Trophy winner. That's pretty incredible. And he served in Vietnam and later on Wall Street. A lot of people thought he'd be president someday, but he's an amazing man. And then my dad, Ray Kelly, served in Vietnam, became a colonel in the Marine Corps Reserve, and, well, he's my idol in so many ways. And I was also happy to, well, that these things are open to family. Little girls, little boys who are learning what it means to be an American. That's little Annalise. Totally in the spirit of it, right? Totally in the spirit. Well, I think it's going to be a great summer. And because of some of the things we just talked about, and also this.
My prayer is this. I ask God for 19 years to put me in a position where I could end the chronic disease epidemic and bring health back to our children. And in August, God sent me Donald Trump.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr., now the Secretary of Health and Human Services, the man for the job at this moment, and amazing coming together. This gives me a lot of hope, actually. Democrats, sane Democrats, and doing the right thing for children. You may have heard of this report. It only was touched on briefly, actually, by dominant media and even conservative media. Make America Healthy Again, with an emphasis on making our children healthy again. The report is 73 pages long, and I keep hearing, we want to start a conversation. We want to start a conversation. Well, let's help start that conversation. 70% of children's diets from ultra-processed foods. Now, if you look up ultra-processed foods, what are they? Basically, food of no food value, no culinary use, preservatives and that kind of thing. You got to have maybe some of that. 70% of children's diet, and it goes on. It goes on and on and on. This is depressing information, but there's hope. Children exposed to more chemicals than ever before. Children are more inactive, sleep deprived, and stressed than ever before. Children are over-medicalized. That's not a term I had heard before, but yes, it makes a lot of sense. 40% of children afflicted with a chronic health condition, anything from obesity, asthma, diabetes. The list is long. 75% of American youth ineligible for military service. You either have a chronic disease or too fat, too skinny, and the rest. Probably not skinny. Today, actually, 1 in 6 children are obese. 1 in 6. You compare that to 50 years ago, 1 in 20 children were obese. This is horrific. Now, autism. What is going on there? Today, 1 in 31 children have autism. In 1960, take a look at this. It was 1 in 10,000. Something is seriously, seriously wrong. And, well, I'm glad it's being addressed. It's actually being discussed. Childhood cancer up 40% since 1975. Childhood food allergies up 88% since 1997. And how about this? 100 years ago, 0% of children's diet came from ultra-processed food. Now it's up at 70%. A couple of more here. 40,000 registered chemicals in the United States. And what is showing up in children's and pregnant women and everybody in their urine? Pesticides, microplastics, dioxin. Wow. Let's see here. 80% of high school students sleep under 8 hours. Also, teen average 9 hours of non-school screen time every day. It's out of control. And basically the culprit in so much of this, ultra-processed foods and the food industry. And I think I have the proof. Anybody remember, well, what cereal was this? Oh, yeah, Count Chocula and Frankenberry. Even as a kid, I knew deep down, as much as I wanted them, you weren't supposed to eat marshmallows for breakfast. Do you think the people who came up with this had any care for the well-being of children? No.
Time to go down to the basement for some more hauntingly delicious Count Chocula cereal.
Don't look in the basement.
Eee, those eyes are looking at me. Think I'll get some fruity Frankenberry from the cupboard.
Don't look in the cupboard.
Oh, those eyes, they move.
Now the spooky, delicious part of your complete breakfast is even spookier.
Now Chocula's eyes really move. So did Frankenberry's.
He is looking at you, kids.
That's not funny. Frankenstein and Count Dracula meet the cereal industry. And did you see what happened to those poor kids? I mean, it was like a nightmare, right? They totally lost their minds, literally. Their eyeballs start popping out of their heads. What are these food companies? And they're still at it. They're still at it. It's crazy. I would go back to that list for a second. And where were we? Teen averaging 9 hours of non-school screen time every day. Teen antidepressant prescriptions up 1,400%. Notice anything about school shootings going up, right, around the same time? They always blaming guns. No one ever talks about this stuff. And most food research is funded by, guess who? The food industry. I always thought, well, no. The people selling this stuff are the ones who are, you want to see, I don't want to name names, but this is the Archer Daniels Midland Company. Oops. Let's take a look at what they have to say.
And then Archer Daniels Midland acquired Wild Flavors late last year. We're a very capital-intensive business, and anything we can do to really leverage technology to drive efficiencies, improve customer service, improve revenue margins, we're looking for opportunities to do that.
All right, that's fantastic. Capital-intensive, leveraging to make more money. I didn't see anything about making kids. I see some of those syrups they're pushing. They are, well, they're not healthy. Let's see, what else? Pharmaceuticals now. Pharmaceutical industry spent $4.7 billion on lobbying and counting. That's a lot of money. That's about, let me think, 400 billion times more than what the NRA is spending. The culprit, right? No, I think it's 9 out of 10 FDA commissioners go to work for the pharmaceutical industry once they're done. How about that? Does that seem suspicious? Yeah. Back to the food. 50% of American calories, this is for everybody, come from those ultra-processed foods. And in Europe, it's 10 to 31%. 10 to 31% in Europe. Now, what do we got going here? Titanium dioxide. Anybody know about titanium dioxide? Does that sound scrumptious? It's linked to cellular and DNA damage. Titanium dioxide, everybody, it's in candy. Propylbarabin, baked snacks, linked to hormonal imbalances. Butylated hydroxytoluene, you find that stuff in cereals, sometimes linked to tumor growth in rodents. All right, so what the hell are we supposed to do here? We kind of know what to eat and what not to eat. Leafy greens, they're supposed to be good. Salmon, legumes, whatever they are. I kind of know what they are, but I do need a refresher. Nuts, beef, whole milk. Whole milk, how about that? A couple of other things. 4 companies right now, 4 companies control 80% of the meat market. 4 companies, that's crazy. Costly regulations penalize family farms. Yeah, only the big corporations can deal with all the federal regulations. Drug research, $60 billion paid by the pharmaceutical, and actually food research that the government pays is only $1.5 billion. All right, we'll put that aside for now. That sounds really awful, doesn't it?
Information. Truth. Is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.